Welcome everybody to the 6 p.m. Special City Council meeting of December 13th, 2022. Let the roll call reflect that all council members are present. First item on our agenda is the opening ceremony. I'll defer to Vice Chair Lopez for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Please rise and repeat after me if you are able. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please consider joining us in a moment of silence. Thank you. Next item on our agenda is acknowledgements. Do any council members have acknowledgements they'd like to make tonight?
Chair, I'd like to just mention I had the opportunity today to attend the press conference from the fire department on a new technology that's made available to our community in an effort to try and help the advanced response time for people that have cardiac or going into cardiac arrest. So there's this app on your phone. So get out your phones, right? You can download. It's called Pulse Point. And the way that it works is that when a 911 dispatch receives a call for somebody in cardiac arrest, if people are on the app and they have training in first aid, they can be notified. And obviously the first response time is good in our city, but they're not everywhere. They're not in every corner. So if you're at a place and somebody is having an issue and you can help them and administer that first aid response, you can. I think the statistics, I can't remember all of it. Watch the press conference, but they talked about, I think every minute there's a 10% reduction in their chance to live or something like that. So it was just a really cool thing, and just want to praise the fire department for making that effort to. It was a collaborative effort with Ogden City, Weber County, Royce City, a bunch of others, and so I love that they're leading the charge in that, in providing, in improving the safety in our community, and I believe wholeheartedly that this effort will save lives in our community, which is pretty awesome. So,
anyone else? Okay, I don't know if we'll have a chance to do this formally, but I just want to recognize the contributions that Jay Hill has made to our community, to Ogden, to Weber State Athletics. Hopefully we can do something a little more formal in the future, but as a former Wildcat who kind of played football, I was there. I have a tremendous amount of pride in my heart for the work that he has done for the program and for Ogden. Wish him nothing but the best. It was inevitable that we'd lose such a talent in this town, but just want to thank him for the 9 years of investment that he and his family put into our community. So nothing but the best for him and his family. But I still hope BYU loses. Okay. Anyone else?
Yeah. I think it was last week, we left here and we all couldn't believe that Jay Hill had just signed at BYU, and there was a shock. But when he first came to Ogden, I got to spend a day with him. And he told me a story about how he was drafted. And I don't know if you guys know this story or not. Throughout the week, I don't know why I didn't play for him, but I was kind of thinking things I learned from Jay Hill. And this is one of them. I got to spend a day with him, and he told me he was drafted. I believe he was married. I know he's married. I believe he just had a small baby. He was drafted by the New York Giants. They flew him to New York to sign his contract. Put him up in a nice hotel. I believe they took him down, showed him the sights that night, and then the next day they said, we'll do the contract the next day. The next day the limo came, picked him up, took him to the Giants headquarters. Before they could sit it down. Oh, and they totally outfitted his wife and small baby with Giants gear and just really went and above and beyond. And he went to sign his contract, and before he could actually sign it, I believe it was the general manager came in and said, "Hey, we had a tight end just break his leg. We need a roster spot. We can't sign you." They knew that the guy had broken his leg when they flew him out there. They knew he'd broken his leg when they took him in on all the sites. They knew him before they drove him that morning. But Jay Hill said it taught him the importance of, throughout life, everything we do, we get into this role where we think this is what I do. This is my everyday transaction. This is my everyday role. And for someone else, we don't realize how awesome or exciting or fun that could be. And I remember Coach Hill telling me that. He said, in everything I do, I try to make sure that they get to experience the awesomeness of whatever they think this is. And I watched him coach at Weber State, and I think he brought the awesomeness better than anyone ever has. I think he created a culture, not only at Weber State, but throughout this whole community, that I think we will feel the ripple effect for years to come. So I'm like you. I appreciate everything he did to create a culture, to involve the community, to involve the students in the community, and to get people in the community to support him. And I like you, I truly appreciate everything and wish him the success, and excited to see where his momentum takes us. So, thanks.
Can I just add one comment to that? And I'm a huge Jay Hill fan. I know we knew this day would come, and it's still heartbreaking to see him go. But he said it would take something special for him to leave, and the circumstances had to be right. And he also had said to me several times that he wanted to build something here. And he had, I don't know if many people know, he had an opportunity to leave fairly early on in his career with Weber State to make a whole lot more money. And then when that didn't pan out and he ended up sticking around, I caught him after a basketball game and just told him, "Thank you for sticking around." And he just looked me in the eye and said, "I'm not done building what I need to build here." And so his comments in his press conference was that he feels like Weber State is a much different place than when he arrived. That's obvious in terms of their football program. And I'm, looking forward to what the future brings. I think there's a lot of great things. And this is, obviously as a football fan, I love everything on the field, but there's so many things off the field that we can point to with Jay and what he's done at the program. So anyway.
Anyone else? Okay, quickly, I want to make one more acknowledgement. I'm looking in the crowd and I'm seeing a lot of beautiful and friendly and loving faces, actually. There's coaches who have coached my own kids. You did the most loving thing for one of my kids, man. Just want to acknowledge the love that you shared with me that night. And I see some kids in the crowd that I've had the pleasure of coaching, and it's so heartwarming to see you here tonight. See you here to support something that means the world to you. And you all made me so incredibly proud. I hope that I and others make you proud tonight too. First item on our agenda is reports from administration. As all of you, most of you who are here are aware, the city has been offered an opportunity from the Ogden School District to purchase surplus properties. We've discussed this in a work session, and the mayor's administration has a proposal. We have a very talented and gifted professional in Jeremy Smith, who's here to present the mayor's proposal. And then we'll bring up Janine Eller-Smith, I believe. Glenn, our council deputy director, to offer up some additional words on behalf of the council and some additional options. Jeremy, thank you.
Good evening. As mentioned, I'm Jeremy Smith. I'm the Deputy Division Manager for Community Development. And I'm going to start talking to you about this opportunity Ogden City has. As you're aware, there were 3 surplus sites that are being made available by Ogden School District. Here's a vicinity map of kind of where those are located. And you can see the bottom of that Grandview Elementary site, the Lynn Elementary site, and then a site on North Jackson that never was a school, but some vacant land that they own. So because Ogden City is an eligible entity, that basically gives Ogden City the first dibs at buying these properties before they are set on the open market for sale. It's a 90-day window where you have to adopt a resolution that decides that you're interested in committing to these properties. So this schedule kind of outlines how it's gone so far and where we are today. On September 15th, the Ogden School District declared those properties as surplus. On the 21st of September, Ogden School District announced that, and the city received that. On 10/21, the final appraisal was completed, assessing the values of these properties. On November 29th, we had a city council work session where these were discussed. And then tonight, we're here at the city council meeting, and you'll have an opportunity to adopt a resolution. And then tomorrow, if that's adopted, that resolution will be submitted to the Ogden School District. And then the last date is just notice that by the 20th, if there's no resolution adopted, we lose that first right to purchase. Just show you where these sites are relatively. If you're familiar with the old Grandview Elementary site, this is a school site that was demolished a few years ago. It's located at 3875 Jackson Avenue. It's just over 5 acres, and it was appraised for $1,805,000. The next site is the Lynn Elementary School site, also was demolished. That's close to 6 acres. Appraised value is $955,000. Excuse me, $955,000.
Jeremy, can I interrupt
Sorry.
you a little bit?
Sure.
I just
Sorry,
from
we've got some devices and we've got some. If everybody could turn off their ringers and turn your volume down, that'd be super helpful.
I thought those were sound effects on my PowerPoint, but thanks for.
Sorry, go ahead, Rich.
as comments from last week kind of indicated that there was a belief, or maybe not a understanding of the distinction between the current city property and the district property. And if you could, you've drawn the lines perfectly, but we just need to make sure that people understand
Clarify
that the park is not in question. It's just the school district property.
That's correct. Yeah. And so this, for example, is adjacent to the 4th Street Ballpark and close to the Romrell Park. Everything in that red boundary is the school district property. Everything that's kind of green space is owned currently by the city, be City Park there. Okay. And then the third one is located on 605 North Jackson. This is the vacant parcel that never had a school on it. It's 7 acres. It's has a canal/creek on the west side of it, and kind of has a gradual slope. So that is appraised for $1,075,000. And then as kind of an appendage to that site, there is a single-family home that the school district currently owns that they've decided to surplus. That's valued at $384,000 and is on a little over a half acre. So with these sites in mind, the administration recommendations would be to move forward with purchasing the Lynn Elementary site, also purchasing the Jackson site and adjacent house, and we would excuse me, waive the right to purchase the Grandview site. And that's my presentation. If you have questions, happy to answer them at this time.
Thanks, Jeremy.
I do have one question, Jeremy. Sure. I was looking back through. Can you just tell me, or just explain the appraisal process? I mean, I assume they have an appraiser and we have an appraiser.
That's absolutely right.
On most of them, on 2 of them, they seem pretty similar, but there's a little bit of a disparity.
Yeah, and there are some differences, which is common. The way it works is the school district commissions an appraisal, and the city also commissions a separate one. And then they take the two and basically do an average of those two to determine the value. So that's how those prices are determined. And that's through each of these sites.
Anything else for Jeremy? Can you do me a favor and go back to your Grandview slide?
Sure. There it is.
So I think Rich made the comment about the
separation on this as well.
Yeah, the Lynn Elementary and the 4th Street Park. There is the city park formally, and then there is the old school site. I just want to mention that there is no distinction between the two on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And so this property has been used as open space without any delineation or demarcation or limitation on the uses. So if there's anyone that's confused about park or not park, school district versus not school district, it's understandable. Both sides are right.
Yes, and that's correct. So it is adjacent to the Grandview Park. The only difference you could tell really is a maintenance standpoint. I mean, you can see where the school was demolished and that when you go out there, it's definitely rougher than our city park because that has a different maintenance schedule, of course. So any other questions?
Thanks. Any other questions for Jeremy?
Okay.
Thanks. Okay. This is the public's opportunity. Oh, sorry. Yeah, thank you. Glenn, please clarify things we've been working on as a council for the last couple of weeks.
Yep. Thank you, Chair. As you just heard, Jeremy presented the administration's proposal for the surplus property. However, council members have been interested in having continued conversations about what can be done with the property and potential funding sources. So what we've done with the resolution that's in front of you, it's changed from what was originally transmitted to you, which included a resolution that provided the intent to purchase the property, or the authorization to purchase the property, I should say. We're taking sort of a half a step back. The resolution in front of you now is just your intent to purchase. So it's a little bit different. That buys you some additional time. So it doesn't authorize the purchase. It just shows our intent to purchase. Then you all have 90 days to have a conversation about what the best funding source is, what the right use of the property is. So that helps to facilitate those extra conversations. So what you have in front of you is a resolution to presenting the intent to purchase for all 4 pieces of property. If within that 90 days, the city does not want to purchase one of those, we do lose the option, our first right of refusal for that. But as you have had conversations with the school district, I think that's something that can be worked out.
Thank you. So all 4 properties mean 2 at Jackson, 1 at Lynn, 1 at Grandview.
Correct.
Thank you very much.
Any questions for me?
Any questions for Glenn?
And tell me what happens after 90 days tell me that process.
So the city is required to submit some earnest money for the purchase if we do decide to purchase that. If we do not, then the school district just puts that property on the market for purchase from a private individual or developer.
One thing too, I failed to mention, forgive me, is just for the council's awareness as you make your decision tonight, part of the intent to buy more time for more decision-making space would include us being able to evaluate options. And in the time since our last meeting, Vice Chair Lopez and I have already been approached by community anchor community partners who are anxious to engage with the city on open space discussions, land use planning, and long-range planning and investment. And there's possibility for funding partners. So absent this space, those would be discussions would be hard to have. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Glenn.
Sorry, could I ask one more quick
Yeah.
question? Sorry. So if we just do an intent to purchase, we don't have to have the funding sources available today. We have to have it in 90 days. Is that
That's correct. Yeah. Based on state code, within that 90 days that Jeremy had mentioned, we just have to express or pass a resolution expressing our intent to purchase. And that starts the clock on that second 90 days.
okay? I just didn't know if we needed the funding source.
Right. Yeah. Thanks.
All I was going to do is just say thanks so much to the staff and leadership for, helping to make that happen, because I think that's really what the community was asking for. And that's what I really wanted to. I just didn't feel like I had enough time to really evaluate the options we had in front of us. So I appreciate it.
Happy to do it. I'm not sure 90 days will be enough either, but we'll try. Okay, anyone else?
Chair, I did have a conversation with board members who I was, just want to make sure we weren't going to cause any grief from our partners on the school district. And they pretty well said that no, these properties have been kind of idle and sitting around for a long time. They don't have too much concern with us taking the time that we need to arrive at whatever decision is best for the city.
Thank you.
I can piggyback on that a little bit. Thanks to you, Chair Nadolski. I know you reached out to the superintendent and kind of went through that. And then, as many of you know, I know someone on the school board very well. So I was able to contact her and ask these same questions. She answered most of them and then said, let me make sure with the superintendent. And so he called me back yesterday, just so was information for me. The school board went through a very vetted process where they determined what exactly is needed and what is not needed and what is surplus. And to their point, which was very enlightening, in their eyes, it was, hey, if it doesn't have an educational value to us, then we should, make it available to another entity. And that's how we're here. So I asked if this were to take a little longer. They said, that's great. They said, we've already done our process, and now it's kind of in our court to do the same thing, for us to do our own process also. So I appreciate, like Angela said, I appreciate our staff kind of scrambling at our requests. I appreciate the administration for taking those. And I also appreciate leadership for trying to navigate this, because it's been a lot to process in a short amount of time. So I appreciate that. And I think that this is a better scenario right now, is to take the public input, and then kind of reassess where we're at, where we want to be, and what we can do. So I appreciate you all being here, and hopefully those are your home jerseys, because we're all at home, right? All right. Okay. That's it for me.
Thank you. Okay, this is your opportunity to address the council on this particular item. Before we take our first speaker, if we could just do a quick show of hands, who wishes to address the council on this particular item? Okay, pretty reasonable number. So let's just, you said you were going to bring joy, so we'll see. Last time we talked, you said you're going to bring joy. Well, I can't wait to feel it. So let's limit our comments to 3 minutes, and
Yeah. Do we want to?
just make sure that you state your name for the record at first, Coach Van Wagner. And then if you guys want to maybe just line up in the back, we'll just orderly run through comments.
All right. My name is Alan Jones. I'm a resident here in Ogden. I'll try and be quick. My first displeasure here is that the school board is surplusing these grounds. There's been a push to make bigger and bigger elementary schools, which I personally believe decreases the quality of education. And I think that we can push for smaller elementary schools that will increase the quality of the environment of our learning for our young ones. My joy is that I am in 100% full support of purchasing all 4 of these properties. I believe that the loss of open space is something that will never be regained if we lose the opportunity. I personally think that a huge number of people here and in the soccer and sports playing public would be elated to have additional spaces for them to play soccer, frisbee, picnics, that sort of thing. And so my joy is, hurrah, this is a really good thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan. Hey, Carrie.
Council members, thank you for your service to our great city. I'm Carrie Van Wagoner. I know some of you. I moved to Ogden on December 26, 2006 in a snowstorm quite like this one. And coming from sunny Southern California, I used to take my then 1-year-old to the park every day. So when I got here in the middle of a snowstorm, I had to find a park. And I went to Marquette Park, and it was there was a foot of snow on the ground, and I put my baby in a swing, and I was the only one there. And that day will be forever imprinted in my memory because it was my first experience at an Ogden City Park. Since then, I have spent 16 years at Ogden City Parks. And I'm going to read you a list of some of the things that me and my family have done. We have cross-country skied in Ogden City Parks. We have played tennis and pickleball. My daughters have learned how to ride their bikes. We have played softball. We have gone on picnics. We have walked our dogs. We've had many parties. We have volunteered our time. We have picked up trash. And we have spent literally hundreds and hundreds of hours in Ogden City Parks watching our daughters and their friends grow into kind, strong, smart, intelligent, and disciplined young women through the art of playing a team sport. So my ask for you today, my wish for you today, my plea for you today is to make this available to all of the citizens of our great community. I live within walking distance of a park. And when people ask me if I miss Southern California, I say, yeah, I do. But I often cite our parks as the reason why I love Ogden so much. So I thank you for your service. I plea you to consider these spaces for our future generations. Thank you.
Thanks, Carrie. Next. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you. Council, my name is Nicholas Trujillo, and I'm a lifetime resident of Ogden, Utah. And I actually have the pleasure, these are just two of my team, two boys from my team. The rest were probably tired from practice today. But I ask you to support this resolution for all 4 sites because it is boys like this that will grow up using our city parks for whatever sport they decide to play, soccer, lacrosse, football. And as the gentleman said before, once we lose open space, we can never get it back. So I implore you and beg you to think of the children that will someday hopefully be in my position and coaching kids that are their age now into loving sports, into being a team member and giving back to their community. So thank you. And again, I ask you to adopt the resolution for all 4 sites.
Okay. Thanks, Coach.
Good evening, council members. Mike Broucher, also from Ogden Soccer, but didn't wear the shirt. First of all, thank you for your hard work. I mean, from this side, it looks easy. Oh, why don't they just sign it? But I know there's a ton of work and a ton of deliberation that goes into these. So thank you for your hard work. I would implore you to reconsider and add Grandview. It is rough, but we have 2 coaches that are there 3 days a week using that rough upper deck. I myself personally, I'm the uniforms and equipment guy, use that upper deck probably 40 to 50 hours a year with equipment and uniforms because it's a good open space, good parking. The pressure that's already on Mount Ogden, Monroe, all of our parks, every single bit of green space is needed, and not just for soccer. I'm, of course, self-interested in soccer, because of what our program does for the community and for the families, more so than the game. But as the first speaker said, once you give up this green space, you will never get it back. And that is a true quality of life for our community. As Ms. Van Wagner perfectly echoed, it is a place for our families, our people to get together, enjoy each other, and just enjoy the outdoors. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Before we bring up the next speaker, I'll just point out quickly that Coach Trujillo, he's not just wearing a coach's shirt. The dude's wearing his cleats. I mean, like, how committed can we be to Ogden? I'm gonna coach their kids. I'm gonna come and speak to their council. We're talking a lot about soccer tonight. We see a lot of soccer uniforms. There's also a ton of kids and a ton of parents in here that take off these uniforms and put on Ogden Untamed uniforms. Doesn't matter what sport we're playing. I think we're speaking with the same voice, whether we run into each other on the pitch or in the gym. So I just want to make that note. Thanks.
Chair?
Okay. Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna mention he was under the impression that we had not included Grandview, and I just wanted to make sure the speakers know that it is included in the resolution now.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean ultimately that it will be part of the purchase, but right now we're holding rights for all of the parcels.
Yep. Thank you. You're right. Appreciate that clarification. Okay, who's next?
Hello, my name is Crystal Jones and I am a team manager. And I just want to first of all, thank you all for considering what we have to say. I feel like it's really important that we all listen to each other. So I appreciate that. My daughter, Kirsten, is behind this wall over here. She is in Ogden soccer. We actually moved here from Texas, and one of the only sports she's ever played is soccer. She's very much outdoor. Now, I know we've talked a lot about soccer. I just want to put my two cents in there really quick that I very much support that. But I also want to bring up the fact that Ogden itself is growing. And the only thing that I've personally seen is these new retailers and a lot of apartment buildings. Where are these kids going to play? What is going to happen with the space that we already have? Are we going to continue to create new places for people to live, or are we going to give them something to do to keep them out of trouble? Are we going to provide our community with an outlet and continue to be that great space that people talk about when they say Ogden or Utah? Or are we going to be overpopulated and have people continue to move out of Ogden who have been here for years because they feel that there is no longer a space for us to be comfortably? We don't want to be pushed out of our space. And that's not, I'm not accusing anybody of doing that. I just want to bring that up because I feel that where we're at, it's really a pivotal point, and we can either take advantage of that and give opportunity to our children, our communities. We can create additional jobs, very likely. We have a lot of different community efforts for philanthropy and helping out the community, like Market Star Cares, where we could even help to establish these parks. But I think that that's something to really think about and consider, again, is just what this is going to do, not just now, but in the future, not just 10 years from now or 20 years from now. Where is Ogden going to be? And are we going to take advantage of that, or do we just want it to grow for business purposes? Obviously, that's important, but you guys catch what I'm saying. So that's all I'd like to say.
Thank you. Okay, next.
Good evening, everyone. My name is John Merisier. I'm actually super grateful to be here tonight, not just to represent my family in Ogden Soccer, but to represent the whole community. We're all here tonight because we all share the same passion, the same joy for sports, for soccer. And you did mention earlier today that you were once a Wildcat. You understood what it meant to play sports. My family, my parents grew up in France. And back then, before this meeting, I actually counted with them yesterday just to make sure that I would probably be here just to represent what I love. And I didn't bring my cleats today, but I brought my boots just to stay firm for what I believe. my parents mentioned that back then it was a punishment to stay home. And I feel like nowadays, especially as a family man, and my wife and I, we just recently just have a baby, and he's about 2 weeks old. And we fear that in the future, he may not have a place to play. All of us grew up here, going to the parks and having fun, going to the parks and picnics and throwing football or frisbee with our parents and having a good time with our friends. And I strongly believe, like the very first speaker said, I am strongly behind purchasing all the properties that we have here so that every single one of us can have a future. I'm only just 25 years old, but I know for sure that I'm super thankful that we have some parks here that we can use to play sports and to have our children have a future. And I hope that you guys ponder and think about these decisions, that the joys that you guys are bringing will be through this decision that you guys were making tonight. So thank you so much for listening to us.
John, did you say your last name was Mercier?
Mercier.
Mercier.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm not doing well. Thank you for repping what you love. Carrie, can you hand that to Brandon for us? If you're going to give that to us, can you hand it to Brandon?
I'm not going to get.
Okay.
I don't have enough.
What do you got in there?
Okay. What I've got is. Okay, before I became a big pain in your butt, Kerry Wayne.
It's a shirt.
I lived in Ogden for 20 years. And during that time, I was involved with, AYSO soccer. And I worked the north end of the city. And during that time, like I said, coached, did everything. I possibly was a board member, everything. And one of the things that we found, this was about the time that Mayor Godfrey was coming in, we did registration and found that right through the center of the city, Lynn Elementary, Mountain View, D and Lewis had like single digit registration for soccer. And it was mainly because parents couldn't afford to do it. And we were one of the most, what I would say, affordable programs here in Ogden because of the fact that the Ogden School District did not charge us for using their fields. They felt it was an important thing, and they wanted to make sure that the children got that experience. And so, again, I tried to put together a leadership program to where we could scholarship some of those children so they could play. We came up with a shirt that was the best sign in Ogden, was all children at play. I think that's still applicable today, 20 years later. This is a vintage shirt. But again, I implore that you spend money on green space. I think it's important. One of our biggest issues for, again, using the school district grounds, fields there, was the fact that there wasn't parks enough for us to use. And I haven't seen a large purchase during the last 20 years to, again, make those green spaces. We've got I see a lot of vacant space here within the city itself, especially Central City. And again, I think that you would do a great service to the citizens of here in Ogden. Again, those kids that I coach, they're probably voting right now. And so I want you to do them a solid. Get them a place for their children to play. Make sure that we play it forward. That's what I'm looking for. And I think that's one of the things that you can all do. And I have faith in you. Okay. And again, thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. Again, thank you. Appreciate all of you who helped me out in the past. Again, I hope that you'll make a purchase of all 4 parcels and make the best use of them for the citizens of Ogden. Thanks again.
Is it okay to ask what the shirt says? I mean, is it okay to ask what the shirt says on it?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's what it said. I'm sorry.
The best sign in Ogden's future, all children at play. Ogden Area Youth Leadership Program. Okay. Thanks, Gary.
20 years old.
It's in pretty good shape.
They've been in a box.
Need to be wearing that bad boy. Okay, next.
Hello, my name is Oliver Ayala. Somebody talked about spend the time in sports. So my family, me and my wife, spent more than 15 years for a YSO for the little kids. Now, Ogden Soccer. I think it's really important to represent any school uniform. So I'm happy when my kids go and play tournament in Park City and a shirt say Ogden. Maybe you can go represent the school, any other club, but say Ogden. So everybody know we go or coming from Ogden. So I'm very important for me and my family. I want to try understand my kids. You need respect a shirt when you represent a school or the job or any company. So thank you for this opportunity. Ogden Soccer is a really good club. Ogden is my city, and I'm very lucky to live here. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach. Good to see you, Evie.
Hi, everyone. I'm Evelyn Farka, and I don't really have that much to say, and I also don't have very much planned. But I'm here with some of my teammates, and they're also fellow refs, and we love playing soccer. Like, it consumes a bunch of our time, and we just love it. It's our favorite sport and just our whole life. We have been playing on the same team for how many years now? 2 years. Well, she's been 2 years, but we've all been playing together for a long time. And I know a bunch of these girls and boys that are here too have been also playing together for a long time. So I think that it would be very great to continue this just continue what we have going on here with the new field space. It would make it way easier. And I know it's not just for fields, it's also for public use. And it's just make our lives easier to hang out at the parks and have that extra space available. So I beg and I plead that we can get this space. Thank you.
Thanks, Evie.
Thank you.
Hello. My name is Luis Mora. I'm just been living in Ogden for the past 10 years. I have 5 kids, and the youngest one is an Ogden native. He was born here 6 years ago. I'm just here to share my experience on the importance of these programs impact the lives of kids and young people in the future. I'm one of the examples. I grew up in a very poor and crime-ridden community in Mexico. And being on sports was the only thing that keeps me from following the wrong paths. It gave me the strength to never try any drug, any alcohol, or don't smoke. It makes me want to be the best person that I could be, the healthier person that I could be, so my body will keep responding me by playing. I'm 47 and I still play. And I have a taste of professional soccer in my country. But then I find out that made me the person that I am, a strong person, a good person, an honest, hardworking person. So I decided to share that to my son, my older son. He's 23 years old. And I always told him, be respectful, be nice, be strong. He loves soccer, and I devoted my whole attention, my whole time to him since he was 4 or 5 years old. And it's the best investment that I did in my life. My son is the best thing that came out of me. He's a model citizen. He never drinks. He doesn't even drink soda. He's always practicing. He's always working out. He followed my advice to be healthy. As I told you, he never touched any alcohol or drugs. He's a graduate of Ogden Middle High and Ogden High. He cruised through there. He never got into any trouble, and he's here. My son, Luis Jr. So he shares my philosophy, so I know that these programs can change lives for the good for the kids. He's my assistant coach, and we have 20 kids on our team. We coach my another kid, Alex, 13-year-old, and we always try to be make sure that we create a safe space for my kids, for my team. I call them my kids. And I'll tell you one experience that it makes so worth my time, that I devote hundreds of hours of time to these kids. A couple of years ago, one kid came to my team. I got a call and said, this kid is being rejected for so many coaches and some other organizations. He's a wild kid. He's always getting in trouble. A few parents of my kids, they told me, I heard that guy is bad. So he came, I invited him over, and the first thing that he did when he was practicing, he started pushing my own son, Alex. And my other son, he said, oh, hell no, I don't want him in here. He's picking fights. And I said, yeah. But then I started thinking, why is this kid reacting like that? Why is he being a rebel? So I found out that his parents are going through a nasty divorce, drug abuse and substance and nasty things that this poor kid was going through. So I decided to give him a chance. I started thinking, what am I going to, I can help him. What is it going to be of this kid if I reject him again? He's been rejected his whole life, like for the past 2 years. So I decided to give him a chance. So I work with him. My son, we work with him all the time. We make him understand the importance of respect, of being a nice person, of being a part of a team, that you have to do your thing. Your team has your back. You got to have their back. You have to respect everybody. And I'm so proud to say that kid is a really, really sweet kid.
Thanks, Luis.
Their parents resolved their differences, and this kid became the sweetest boy that I ever seen. And just for that kid, it's so worth it to devote hundreds of hours of my time. And I know that we can make a difference. These programs change lives. It's time to invest in the kids, the future. They need guidance. And we all in Ogden Soccer, we share that same vision that I have, that we're there for the kids,
Thanks,
for
Luis.
their well-being.
Thank you.
I'm sorry if
That's okay.
I really took a lot of time, but I know this is the only way that we can make better citizens in the future, investing on our kids. We're going to get better citizens, strong-minded citizens, respectful citizens that understand the importance of working together.
Thank you.
So
just for the crowd's sake, I'm a sucker for a story. So I forgive you the time.
Yes, yeah.
So for all the rest of the speakers, I do need to make sure we stick to 3 minutes if you could. So if you do have a story that we all need to hear, which that was one, try to put it on the front end, because let's get those babies out there, okay?
I can tell you 1,000 of stories like that, because I've been coaching for more than 20 years.
Thanks, Luis.
But just one kid is worth my time. Just that kid is worth. All right. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ella Stewart, and today I'm here to talk to you about the 3 city parks that you guys are thinking about selling. This is my teammate Adeline, by the way, and my coach Jesse's in the yellow jacket over there. Today I am talking to you to give you a few reasons why I believe we should keep the 3 school sites, Grandview Elementary, Lynn Elementary, and North Jackson, and incorporate them into the present park community for the use of the citizens. I can see why they would be good to sell. We would gain more money for Ogden City that could go towards public buildings and many other things that can be improved throughout the city, but I think that keeping the parks would be more beneficial to our community. One reason we should keep the 3 school sites is because we are limited on parks already. My dad coaches my younger brother's soccer team, and we are always searching for new park locations to practice at. This is because the parks are too crowded, and it is hard to practice with the team when the available space is so limited. We have started practicing in South Ogden because of how busy the parks are becoming. My second reason focuses on how fast Ogden is growing. Per year, the average growth rate is around 10,000 people, according to worldpopulationreview.com. Not to mention that many of the people moving here are coming for the amazing outdoor lifestyle that Ogden has to offer. If these properties do sell and become developed, there will be potentially hundreds of more people trying to share space at the local parks. This could cause major environmental impacts. The more people at the parks, the more crowded they will be, causing more pollution and damage. This would also increase the cost of maintaining them. If we choose to sell these sites, there will be limited time for them to be used before they are developed. If we keep them, they can be used for many future generations in sports and many other things. My last reason for keeping these sites is that parks can be beneficial to public health. The trees in public parks remove 7,111,000 tons of toxins in the air, according to cityparksalliance.org. Green space can also help keep Ogden City cool, reducing the heat island effect, and filter rain, which reduces water pollution and helps protect our precious drinking water. City parks also may increase physical activity levels of the citizens. By doing this, we may prevent many mental and physical health problems. As you can see, keeping these 3 sites would benefit our community by providing more park space for sports and recreation, preventing crowding of Ogden City parks, and helping with the health and safety of our community. Thank you so much for taking the time from your busy schedule to listen to me, and I hope that you'll understand my reasoning and think about why we should keep these 3 school sites and incorporate them into the present city park system.
Thanks, Ella.
Thank you.
Chair, that was impressive.
Hello, my name is Lila Long. I don't have a whole thing planned out like she did, but I would just like to say that my family uses the park all year. In the wintertime, my family all go sledding at Grandview because we're really close to it. And then for the rest of the seasons, my family, we all play soccer, football, baseball, all these different sports. I also ref soccer at the same time. And my family really loves outdoors. We love sports. And I feel like if we keep these parks, we'll be able to have more fun keeping our sports and staying active as a family. I also like to ride our bikes around the parks. My brother and my brother's little friend, they all ride their bikes all around the parks at Grandview, Mount Ogden, all these different areas. And I feel like if we take that away, these kids will stop being as active as they normally are. And I feel like that's a big part in our society, to stay active and stay mobile and not be lazy or on electronics or all this. And my family, by staying off of electronics as much and working hard, is going to sports like soccer, all these other different things. And we love these parks. We always have parties around them. We use any park at any chance that we get to have free time away from sports. We also like to, dang, I just lost my train of thought. We like to just hang around, have picnics. My cousins and I, when we were little, we always would go around and play make-believe at Grandview over there. And I feel like it's a big part of my memory because I stayed there for 7 years playing soccer or more. I'm not sure. But I've been there for like my whole life, and I feel like if we keep these, it would be a great boost to society. Thank you.
Thanks, Lila. You didn't mention volleyball, but your mom...
That's indoors for me.
Well, not always. And Lila's mom is also a volleyball coach in Ogden Untamed Volleyball. So,
good evening to everyone. I'm not too good speaking, but I am a resident of Ogden. I've been here 15 years. I resided in Los Angeles, California. And it's a big city over there. Population's big. Parks are crowded. So like they were saying, any piece of land that we're able to conserve for the kids' parks. When I got here, my son decided to play soccer. So he started in AYSO, like they were saying. So it was just for fun, you know, and they asked me to coach, so I did. I seen that he had, you know, a little bit of talent. So then, so we were with SWAT, Wildcats. We went to La Roca. And then there was a time when my son decided that he wanted to stop playing because he lost, he lost a passion for it. But after 3 months, he's like, "No, Dad, I want to play. I want to play." I'm gonna make it short. I'm not gonna take too much time. I myself, when I was younger, and I was a teenager, I was raised by a single mom. And soccer was my favorite thing to do. Then my mom was not able to afford it anymore, so I stopped playing. Next thing you know, I got caught up in gangs and all that other stuff as a young individual. I was able to do some corrections, and now I'm a father of three granddaughters, and started coaching with. I'm an assistant coach with OGDEN Soccer. I charge $200 per kid. Nah, I'm just kidding. I don't charge for anything. As a matter of fact, out of my pocket, I put for some of the kids that can't afford it. But to me, I think 1 life, 2 lives from any kid that we can save in our city. Sports is one of the best things for them to have. But if they don't have a place where to go, where to train, where to play, I speak for myself and our other coaches. We don't just teach them soccer, but also the other values of life. And living in Utah, I love Utah. I'm so grateful for being here. And but especially in the winter, it's hard to find space where to train with these boys, where we have to like go rent and sometimes pay out of our pocket to get that extra training for them. So I beg every single one of you, if you could please, you know, really think about it and keep every piece of land that you're able to for all the kids to become better men and better women.
Coach, we didn't catch your name for the record.
Roberto Candido.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And council. Name's John Burnett. I love hearing actually all these people who have moved here and have enjoyed our community because of our green space and our commitment. But I'm going to give you a little bit of an insider's perspective. I was born here, and I feel a weird ownership over one of the properties that's kind of on tonight because I lived on Belmar, which is right behind Grandview Elementary, which is where I went to elementary school before it was torn down. And I was born in McCady Hospital before it was torn down. And one of the things that I've seen growing up in this community is it is getting more crowded. And I love seeing, more people here and sharing this awesome place with other people. And I hope more people do move here. But I just want to say that I feel our park system should catch up with all the people that are moving here. And we should keep up with that green space because it gives opportunities to meet these people. Less and less people are wanting to meet at the grocery store and, talk or have time for that. Parks can facilitate those conversations and bring a good sense of community to these people. That's all I want to say.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
All right. So I was just sitting there and I couldn't help but have a soccer memory. And it's a distinct memory because I'm a right-footed player and I've only ever really done one cross with my left foot. So meaning running up the sidelines, playing on the left side, seeing a player open, sending a cross with my left foot. And the player that I saw running up the other side was Bart Blair, who crushed it top post. So I'm sitting there staring at Bart thinking that's the last time I played probably soccer with Bart around the year 2000. But that guy headed that ball perfectly. And that's the only memory I have with my left foot on a cross. And that guy's part of it. So when I think of open spaces, I'm thinking of open future and the open possibilities of memories that all of us can create. And we definitely need the field space to do it. There's so many days that I show up to Mount Ogden Park to do practice, and we got La Roca and Ogden Soccer and Wasatch and AYSO, and everybody's crowded, and you end up under a tree just trying to find a spot, you know, and hope that the parents are okay and with what we're doing, because we're supposed to look like we're really practicing, but we're just under a tree trying to find some space. So we need the open space. These kids and even old guys like me need the memories. Good job, Bart.
Yep. Jesse. We didn't get
Jesse Hardigan.
Thanks. And you get some ice on that knee, will you?
What's that?
Get some ice on that knee.
I mean, I've got leg braces and knee braces.
You remind me of a kid I played football with. We called him 19 and 1. We counted. He wore 19 braces for 1 injury. So that's Coach Jesse.
You smell me, you got icy hot.
Yeah, straight from practice.
Before my time starts, these are all wonderful people. They were much nicer than I'm going to be. And so,
your time starts now.
Thank you to everybody.
Just start with your name.
Good evening, council and administration. My name is Stephen Van Wagner. Please use your already approved city master plan as the authority to expand parks now while the space is available. Tonight, you have an opportunity for council and administration to work in chorus for the good of all. Tonight is an important first step. The real work begins tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning, expect to start receiving a call of support for turning this space into usable park space and property for the public that promotes health and human connectivity. Do not let funding come before the value of our people. I am determined that we will find the dollars needed to protect this space through community collaboration with the city and private donors. The city has already identified 19 sources of funding in your city recreation plan to help buy this land. I submit that with a little bit of vision, this can be a budget neutral initiative that enhances our people's life. You keep asking your experts the same question for over a decade. In 2013, 16, and again in 2019 plan, the obvious need for parkland was identified by your experts. It was the council and the administration approved master plan that cited during the November 15th meeting, using input from your professionals. The city's parks plan identified a shortage of 20 acres of park space currently needed per ordinance 2019-48. You also identified a deficiency of 9 soccer fields and 1 ball diamond. That was in 2019. Your plan also took into account sport fields at parks that are not playable. So I am confident the general park demand is actually much higher now with our growing population. It is not accident that I'm before you tonight demanding open space, health, and our strong family heritage, as it was part of my vision plan when I ran for mayor in 2011. Still online at votevanwagner.com. How can a 2011 vision be more relevant 12 years later? Better than using my opinion or old ideas from 2011, let us rely on the Ogden City's plan. Ogden City identified 17 acres, which the handout that I provided to you, at 360 West 12th Street. You identified that in 2016. You've just built the villas at the point. That's what you're building right there in space. The 17 acres that was identified already, you're building the villa at the point. At the point of insanity, because our government keeps repeating the same thing, not doing anything to change the outcome. Who is carrying out oversight over the administration and the management of our city plans? Thank you to all of you for taking the time to hear us and ensure that we have adding quality of life for our children and their children. We are one. Ogden.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
I said my name.
You did. Attaboy. You said a lot, including your name.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Travis Pate, Ogden, Utah, obviously. But I had the good fortune, as I've shared with you before, for my birth certificate and driver's license to have the same address. Pretty rare thing, and nationwide, regardless of job changes. It's every 7 years that is the national statistic for people to move. The dynamic that I think before you is fantastic. And a week or so ago, when an individual up here said, "Oh, it's no longer fun," I hope this is fun. I hope it's fun, because I finally see there's a term that says free to act or free to be acted upon. Sadly, I feel a lot of prior decisions for other circumstances almost seem as if they're rubber stamped. And this one, there was some pushback. And there was some, hey, let's look as a whole. Let's look. Let's see what the disposition of these properties will be. Not my neighborhood, which says, oh, Porter Avenue will continue 23rd to 24th, and we'll put more homes. All of a sudden now, boom, 28 townhomes, and we're going to shoehorn them in there. And we're going to push downtown into the residential neighborhoods. And so now here we have a chance to take open space and keep boundaries where they are. And particularly the Grandview property, that's almost the gem of all gems, in the sense the proximity to Weber State, the proximity to the IHC campus, the proximity of living well, and all these other aspects that IHC has been putting together. And yet we'd just surplus it and let a private developer buy it and put townhomes and whatever else could be shoehorned into that maximized return on my property. We have an R9 rezone between 24th and 23rd on Porter, and a non-conforming use permit has already been issued, hoping that some rezoning will happen. And it's already been a request for qualifications, not a request for proposals for that property. And we're already, RDA board, we've surrendered it to the RDA staff, and we've now just lost more property, just like the Brown Ice Cream Building. There's all these things that this thing, the intent to purchase, and then hammering out, just like a blacksmith shop, the fine tuning of what needs to happen. You know, weapons into plowshares. So if the words have come across hardly, no one likes being taken to the carpet. But the aspect of saying, hey, we're gonna look back and we're gonna look at the best uses of this is phenomenal. I've submitted time on time again several things. I'll consolidate them back down to a central plan for connecting Grandview to Mount Fort along Monroe. I think there's some awesome aspects of that, and I submitted that 20 years ago. That we can say, hey, let's improve Monroe, let's do bike paths, let's do everything else, because we have quite a few east-west corridors with the bike master plan, but very few north-south aspects. So I'd encourage you, intent to purchase, find it. If we can find millions for a parking lot, we can find millions for parks.
Thanks, Travis.
Hello, my name is Afton Roth, and this is my little sister, Lena Roth. And I just want to say I spend a lot of time at these parks, either playing soccer, sledding, or even having a birthday party. And I think they're very important to me, and I don't want to lose them. Thank you.
Thanks, Afton.
Thank you.
Thanks for stating your name, too. Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Tyler Belliston, and I've had the good fortune of, I like to follow up Steve Van Wagner and calm everybody back down. Is that okay? I had the opportunity of coaching with him. I coached with Jesse over here. I've coached some of these wonderful girls back here. And as my 5-year-old, he would say, Dad, don't use the S word. So I'm not going to say the S word that we've heard so many times tonight, but I am going to, I'm going to give you a little perspective. I am a home builder and I'm a developer. And the first thing that cities ask when we go to do something is, where's our open space? Where's our green space? What are you providing for us when we develop a piece of land? Not once have I heard a comment from anybody here, and if I could get a raise of hands, is how many people want Ogden City more crowded? How many people do we want parking on in front of Mount Ogden Park one more time, trying to look for a parking space when a ball goes out in the street and we're worried about a little kid getting hit? At Grandview, we would love that parking area. If you pull up Jeremy Smith's map, sorry, Jeremy, we'll we'll reconvene at the basketball game tonight, and I'll apologize then. But I don't think we need to ruin the green space that we have the opportunity to have. The city's resources, I talked with Ken Ritchie via email, and he was mentioning that there's not enough employees to take care of these things. Well, let's think outside of the box. We're Ogden. We're not Park City. We're not south, and we're not north of us. We're Ogden. And I think everybody in here is here because we love this city and we want the best for it. So maybe a park that has a bunch of lawn isn't the best idea for it. Let's find some low water usage for these areas. But again, back to the comment about, do we want our city more crowded? Do we want more people moving in? Do we want this? Do we want that? Let's just leave it as Ogden. Let's just improve what we've got. We don't need to become a Park City. We don't need to become a Daybreak. We don't need to do any of those things. People come to Ogden for what we have. Let's just improve the infrastructure. Let's just build on what we've got, what we were given. My last and final comment is now is the time for you guys, council members, to say no, we don't need more townhouses. No, we don't need more apartments. Yes, we do need more green space. Not one time in your life will you go back and say, yeah, I built that apartment building and I'm so proud of it, because it'll get torn down and it'll get replaced. Not a lot of the parks do that. The parks usually stay. You go to Mount Ogden Park, you look at those big, beautiful trees and that mountain that's sitting in front of it. I've never played at a more beautiful park in my life. Never had my kids go to a more beautiful park. Let's enjoy Ogden for what we've got. Thank you.
Thanks, Tyler.
My name is Jennifer Ewing. I was not going to get up, but my heart is racing. I have been with soccer many years, and I do not have kids in soccer. They're 25 and 22. But I am volunteer. I coach one right over here. I have a former student that I've taught. Soccer means so much. Even though I don't play it, I help take care of the things. I am a traveler. I go to other cities and I'm texting, look at their soccer fields, look at their green space. I come back to Ogden and it's like, we need more fields. I implore you to purchase all of the fields. We need it. We do not need more townhouses. It is getting so crowded. I don't like being on the roads anymore. The lights stink and it's hard to travel anywhere. We actually had to take a different road to get here because the light on Harrison was awful. We need more green spaces for our youth. I'm a teacher, and where I work at connects right next to the community center and the city park. That park is used all the time. Our parks are being used, but we do not have enough of them for our youth to use. I implore you to use it, to be smart. We do not need more townhouses. Where is the water going to come from? Where is all this other stuff coming from? We need to take care of our youth. I'm a teacher. If we do not provide activities for our youth to do, they go the wrong way. I see it. Please keep the green space for our youth. Doesn't matter what sports they play. They need a place to go to and their families. My husband loves the trails. You know, he uses it all the time. I'm not a walker, but I do walk around Weber State. But please think about our youth, our future. They're not going to care about the houses. They're going to care about the green space to keep our sports and our youth active. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Good evening. Angel Castillo, Ogden resident. Full house. Last time this happened with a bunch of people talking about how youth sports saved their lives, it's when we reordered the CIP for the Marshall White Center. And we had the parents saying how they were saved by those after-school programs, and we had their kids saying that they were saved by those programs, and those kids' kids. You know how much it is to get people like this to show up. It's a big deal. And for every person that's sitting here, there's 20 that aren't going to speak or are at home and online. And Youth sports saves lives. I spent the first 14 years of my life at a poverty level. And I went to school on a track scholarship. The first 4 years of my high school career, every single year, I was a state champion. And that's because there's no poverty on a field. You are who you are and how much you hustle and how hard you work and how you can get along with people, how you can compromise, how you can learn to look at losing as a pivot point for improvement. Those are leadership skills and life skills. And we have 30,000 people in our city that live at or below poverty. Those kids need space. And the biggest thing that shifts when a nonprofit provides a space for people to do things is land and a building. Youth Impact, 127 person waiting list, 127 kids waiting to get into Youth Impact, all of them at or below poverty, most of them BIPOC, 90-some%. If you don't take this opportunity to take this land and set it aside, and thank you, Glenn, for the quick 90 days thing. And thank you for whoever drove that from the city council to take the 90 days to look at it, to do something with it. We have to analyze that. And it's not just because it's going to change kids' lives. It's going to change everybody's lives. Adults have mental health issues with the pandemic, places to gather, sports. And let's just talk about the money. The money that could be made from organizing tournaments. We do not have enough space to adequately host statewide or national tournaments. We need this space, and I highly encourage you to commission a feasibility study and run those numbers. I know somebody on this council knows someone who knows something about tournaments. So please, all of the property, take the 90 days, run a feasibility study, care about the children of Ogden and the youth, and give them the opportunity to learn to be leaders.
Thanks, Angel.
Hello, hello. Thank you.
Hello.
I'm Kristen Leslie, a longtime Utahn. I wish I was as articulate as these other people who have spoken about all the needs. I, as a mom, just wanted to share my experience. So this year, soccer is the only sport my boy loves. He's my only boy, so I spend a lot of time with him. We go down to Mount Ogden Park with a gajillion other teams, and his team is forced to play in the back underneath some trees. That's the only spot where they practice. Last year, the team, such awesome coaches. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The poor team shuffled from field to field to field. Oh, there's not enough room. We're going to have to practice at this. So then he has to text it out, and everybody goes to this other park. Oh no, this park is full. We're going to have to go to this park. That happened, I swear, every practice. So I would just like to express we are past due on more soccer fields. And I'm grateful that you are all looking to get more and following your motto of still having untamed spaces, which to me means no buildings. Thank you.
Thanks, ma'am. I didn't catch your name.
It's Kristen Leslie.
Kristen, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. Danielle Eiler. My oldest daughter, Beckham, and then we have an 8-year-old Nola in the back. I didn't plan to speak today, but I guess I too share the racing heart. I guess for me, I didn't have the opportunity as a child to play sports, and I'm grateful to give that to our kids. And it's been like this tangible marker in my life to see her growth, and they have grown and evolved in very different ways. I've also witnessed coaches who don't have kids in soccer spend their time, dedicate their love of the game and love of our children with no other motive. And that's been really special to see. And so I guess more than sharing our experiences or what I've witnessed, I would just ask that all of the soccer players stand up and show like these kids can be at home doing other things and they're here listening to all of this. And this is what it means for us. I too stress how overwhelmed the parks already are and what that means logistically and otherwise. And this is who it matters to. And this is just a very, very small portion of what we see all the time. So thank you.
Thank you. And you don't count 19-1. Okay. Sorry, John. We already heard from you. We'll yes. Thank you. Okay. Is there anyone else in the chambers wishing to speak? We've got a couple more standing in the back still.
Hello, my name is Leishka Moretto, and I am a volunteer with Ogden Soccer. I think everybody has already talked about how important it is to have that green space for these kids, but I don't play soccer, never play soccer. I'm honestly in it because, you know, my family likes it. So I'm like, okay, let me join in, let me help out. But the amount of kids that I see travel to our parks, because our parks are better than the ones that they have closer to there, is very big. We have a lot of kids that, mind you, all of these coaches, they're all volunteers. They don't get anything from doing this. They just want to help these kids. These kids come, they play, they get together. They see more kids in the park, they join. And then at the same time, you see neighbors going with their strollers and their dogs and join and watch and see. And then these neighbors, when there's no one around, they come to the parks and they realize that it is available space for them, and you know, they use it on a daily basis. And I know this because I live right by a park. I see it every day. You see all kinds of people. I think that having these green spaces just preserve the values of our communities. Everybody wants to live in a nice place. Everybody wants a very nice community to live with. These green spaces do it for us. And at the same time, yes, we can find ways, like someone mentioned, to use those parks in different ways for the benefit of the city, not only for our youth, which it's absolutely super important that we, even for the reason of our citizens, that is important enough. But if we want to find more reasons for these green spaces to be important, we can think about ways to use these green spaces into how can we use them to like save water and, you know, retain like, the shade so that we can fight the heat that's going on in Ogden because of so much building that we're having. You know, we're not having enough trees. We're not having enough, you know, like just greenery anywhere to kind of combat the growth that is going on and the building that is going on. So we want to keep Ogden pretty. There's going to be growth. Nobody's going to stop that. Like, it's just going to happen. But we need to find a way to find a balance in between having a city that we all enjoy, that we can, you know, be a part of actively in our day to day with these green spaces, and also, you know, welcome this growth that's coming in. And nobody that's going to come live here, you know, anybody who comes, let me rephrase that. Everybody who comes to live here, they're going to want to have the green spaces that we already have and potentially enjoy some more. So just to keep that in mind, that these green spaces, yes, it does it for all of us, but not only for one reason, but for so many others that we're probably not even thinking about right now. So yeah, and thank you.
Can you repeat your name one more time?
Leishka Moretto.
Okay, thank you so much. So before you start, we've been down this road.
We're going to do a different road.
Let's do a kinder tone, if you would, please.
Okay, I will.
Let's go down that road.
What I was going to say is recreation parks, ramp, recreation arts, museums, and parks. I think what you guys are doing is fantastic.
Can you speak into the mic, please?
And I stand with you. Anyway, a few years ago, they were trying to take out Mount Ogden Park, our golf course and trails. I did a petition with 3,128 signatures. We went to all the city council meetings. We stopped the development on Mount Ogden Park. What I'm here for is I don't want to see some more apartments where our trains are outside at the Eccles Rail Center. A lot of people like our trains, and a lot of these kids and everything. I have taken through thousands of kids over the years to show them our history, show them our museums.
Are your comments related to the purchase of Ogden School District property?
And
or are they related to
I do hope
the Union Station?
that you guys let them have the property.
Thank you.
You know, and I love the museums too.
We've gathered that. Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Okay, no more movers in the room. Let's go to familiar name. I think a few of us have talked to Ashley Davis. Start with you. You hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear. Can you hear me?
Yep, thank you.
Okay. My name's Ashley Davis. I live at 3670 Fowler Avenue. I'm the teacher and coach I teach at Shadow Valley Elementary. I'm their PE teacher there. And I also coached in Ogden School District for Mount Ogden. I've loved all the personal connections everyone's made with their parks. I was just at Grandview yesterday sledding with a whole bunch of neighborhood kids on the school district property. And so I'm grateful that you guys have included the Grandview property as one of the purchase ones. And I'd just like to add my voice that I have students who all live around that area who aren't here tonight, able to talk about how they use the parks, but we have kids playing there all the time. So I just hope that you can keep those kids in mind while you're looking at these open spaces. And then also I know in 2021, we received the ramp funding for Grandview Park. And so I'd love if the council would consider looking at what we said we would do with the ramp funding with the purchase of the Grandview property, and we could get better parking space down there, a playground that's not just a rock wall, and maybe some better walking space there. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. Good luck with the rest of what you got going on there. Okay, Kathleen, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
Sure can. Go ahead.
Hi. So I'm a professor of nursing at Weber State University, and my area of expertise is population health, including teaching it in Ogden's only doctoral program. A really big part of population health is looking at social determinants of health. And that is looking at the areas that we grow up in, looking at what surrounds us socially and environmentally. There are numerous studies that show mental and physical health benefits that come from green spaces, and that being one of the larger indicators of health in a community. So when I look at all the budgeting that is being tossed around in terms of funding for or against, I think we're missing the long-term financial piece of this. And that is that by removing any green spaces that we currently have, we're placing long-term risks for health concerns where there are fewer green spaces, fewer areas where people can have a walkable space, can have time to connect and places to connect together. And so the long-term financial aspect of mental and physical health, including for our Medicaid and Medicare recipients, far outweighs what we're talking about as far as the initial budget. So I would strongly encourage us to look at the social determinants of health piece of this, and that's about it.
Thanks, Kathleen. Ivy, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Sure can. Go ahead, Ivy. Thanks.
So I'm Coach John's wife, but I have grown up in Ogden my whole life. It's the only city that I've ever lived in. And though I don't play soccer, I did cross country my whole life. And I've spent many practices and many times training at these parks. And, you know, I feel like they're always so crowded, and it's great to see so many people out enjoying these parks as well, and to have a free space that we can go and do things. But it would be awesome to see more parks. John and I just had a baby 3 weeks ago, and I want him to be able to grow up in this area doing sports and enjoying nature, and not just, having to try and rent like a pass to a gym or like a rec center in order to be active, but to be able to go enjoy a free space of land where we can go as a family and play soccer, play frisbee, or do multiple things. I also noticed that during COVID, a lot of the parks were being used and a lot of the basketball courts, and people want to be out. There's a lot of mental illness, and I think that's a great way for kids after school to relieve some of that stress built up from the day. And, I think not many kids get out. Not a lot of kids get out and be active enough. And I think having more spaces will encourage more kids to be active instead of just staying in. And I know that will help with their health throughout their whole life and with their mental health. And hopefully it'll bring more families together and everyone can have a safe space to be active and just enjoy nature. So thank you.
Thanks, Ivy. Okay, next up it's Heath Sato.
Hi, Heath Sato, Ogden resident. I didn't think I'd even have a chance to comment tonight. I'm in Florida, actually, installing a sculpture that's about the public and their role in talking to city councils. I'm doing a piece for a new city hall. And so I did catch the end of the work session today. And Chair Nadolski, I wanted to everyone there that doesn't see these work sessions to know that you fought for these spaces and you took heat for speaking up to the administration when it was clear that they had plans to develop townhomes, and it was brought to you guys way too late, and you spoke truth to power. And I want to raise you up for that. And I'm so glad so many people are speaking up. And this is what you were talking about when you said nobody here is mentioning the public and our responsibility. You are representatives of the public. You represent them. Every one of you up on that dais represents the public. Public showed up. A lot of times, one, maybe two people show up to talk. Look how many people are there tonight speaking to you. Your job is not to appease the administration. Your job is to represent the community. And I thank you for doing that, Chair Nadolski. That's it.
Thank you, Heath. Next up is Coach Ryan Thornock.
Hi, can you hear me?
Sure can.
Hi, appreciate your time there tonight. Sorry I couldn't be there in person, but I wanted to thank the council members for their hard work. I know several of you personally, and I also know several people there in the room. I'm privileged to be able to coach for Ogden Soccer. Born and raised Ogden resident, lived here my whole life. I'm a Grandview Elementary Grizzly graduate, followed by Mount Ogden Middle School, Ogden High School, and Weaver State as well. I just wanted to point out the obvious. I know it's been pointed out many times tonight, but the use of green space and how lacking we are with what's left and what's available within our beautiful city. My father, just a quick story, I drove my 86-year-old father home the other night from a futsal match that was played out at Weaver County Fairgrounds. And on our way back from the venue, my father noticed, as 86 years of wisdom, that there was a lot of these new high-rise, what he called high-rise structures in the city 4 and 5 story townhome projects, multifamily. We drove down, 12th Street, saw a couple projects turn right onto Wall Avenue, saw 3 or 4 more, turned up 42nd Street. My goodness, there was 2 or 3 more, and continued on home down Harrison Boulevard, noting multiple projects as well. Not that we aren't in need of additional housing and people that need affordable housing, but it's a very, very fine line between the cost-benefit ratio here. And I say ratio meaning, the precious commodities that are left with open spaces for all sports combined. Soccer has been mentioned many times tonight, and I know you can't see me, but I'm wearing my blue Ogden soccer hat. But I've played baseball, I played football. I'm old enough to remember the rocket ship at Mount Ogden Park. We used to call it the Rocket Park. People just don't think of how precious these spaces are until they're gone. And I would implore you to consider not only the financial benefits of keeping these spaces open, but the mental aspect has been brought up many times tonight as well. UYSA soccer has multiple tournaments that get played year round, but some are even right in our own city. And I know they generate a huge revenue for local businesses, restaurants, hotels, transportation hubs, and those things of that nature. So I would encourage, not just to think about, the financial aspect, but the open aspect and the use of that space. And I appreciate your guys' time.
Thanks, Ryan. Okay, all we have on the screen is Kelly. Kelly, if you could state your full name for the record, that'd be helpful. Thanks.
My name is Kelly Wickens. I am a mom to an 8-year-old girl. She plays soccer with Ogden Soccer for Coach John, and we are on Zoom because we couldn't make it. We got caught up in traffic. So this is very important to our community. I think our soccer community is a great community that is very strong, and I'm so happy that so many people are there attending the meeting. I definitely see the need in Ogden for green space and places for people to be human. And I can't stress enough that, every day I visit one of our beautiful parks. Mount Ogden is one of the closest to my home, and it is a beautiful, beautiful space. We love soccer. We as my 8-year-old, we love basketball. Mount Ogden has tennis courts and pickleball courts. So if we're looking to conserve water, we could maybe put in some spaces like that as well for people to do things and be a strong community, because that is why I live in Ogden. I know for me, the East Bench is just a great community of amazing people, and that's why we love Ogden. And I grew up in the wide open spaces of Montana, moved here in 2005, and I don't want to be anywhere else. This is home. So thanks to all of you guys for listening, and thanks to the soccer community for showing up.
That's 2 S words from an 8-year-old.
Soccer.
Thanks, Kelly. And God help you if you're a Montana Grizz fan. Sorry, I always look for an opportunity. This is Wildcat country, baby. All right, is there anybody else? I don't see any more hands. Okay, we'll conclude public input. Thank you, everybody, for your grace. That was beautiful. Discussion from the council?
Chair, I'd love to chime in a little bit on this. I have now taken the opportunity to visit all of the sites, and I've seen what all y'all have seen, and can see that there is some reason to have future discussions about the uses of these properties. And the resolution that is before us today does offer us that opportunity. And I also, I think it, there are some things that the school district is looking into for years to come, which if you've been reading the paper at all, there's, Bonneville and Hillcrest are kind of in a flux state too. So we do plan to have a joint session with them, I believe in February. Is that, I don't know the date, but where we can kind of have some of those discussions with them also. But I am really pleased that our leadership has pulled together this resolution to include the Grandview property so that we can have that time to have that discussion. And if you're ready for a motion, I'm ready to make one. But
is there any other comment from the council members, or are we clear for action?
I think I better clarify that story a little bit. There are few things that are as beautiful as a nice cross coming from the corner into the middle, knowing that you're going to have a chance to get your head on that ball. There is nothing as exciting as that. And I think the cross was probably more beautiful or better than the end result, but I appreciate Jesse letting me relive that one drop the mic moment. I started playing soccer when I think I was 6, and I played soccer because I went to play basketball and they told me I was too small. I went to play football and they told me I was too weak. I went to play baseball and they told me I wasn't big enough. So I asked a neighbor if I could be on a soccer team. I said, what do I have to do to be on soccer? And he said, you got to be able to run all day. And I thought, so I did. I just went in my front yard and I kicked the ball against a wall a whole summer so that I could do that. And I don't know, I think you kids all love it because it's fun, but it's a beautiful sport. It's a beautiful sport, and more so now because it's World Cup time, but you get to see it, right? I mean, it's a beautiful sport. And there are so many things. What I loved about soccer was later on, I played baseball, and for some reason they put me in right field. I never got the ball. I played basketball. I was the shortest guy on the team, and I never got to go in. On the soccer field, I got to do whatever I wanted. I got to play different positions. I got to move around. I got to play on the right. I got to play on the left. And it seemed like no matter where I was, the ball found me. And when it found me, it wasn't garbage time. When the ball found me, it was an important time. And I got to be able to be a part of whatever was happening on the field. So I really loved it. And I've stuck with it. So, and now I hear that you're over 40, and I played an over 40 league. I might get your number later, because we need help. But I do love soccer. But as I look back now, I love the things I learned from soccer. I learned how to be a team. I learned how to, when the ball does come to me, how to make it count, how to hold up my end. I learned that I got to practice. I have to put in the work. We used to get to kick at the end of every practice, again, with coaches putting up their own money. We used to get to kick penalty kicks for $1. And everybody would line up to kick the ball right-footed. And yet it'd go for 20, 30 minutes. So one summer I thought, if I can kick the ball left-footed, I'm going to win $1 every week. And I got pretty good. And so I started winning $1 every week. And I started counting on that $1 like, I'm going to be able to buy a soda on the way home. Sorry, I drink soda. But of all the beautiful things in soccer, there aren't many that were as beautiful as seeing all of you here tonight. And I appreciate your passion for soccer as a sport. I appreciate your passion for our city and wanting to make it better. And I appreciate you coaches who, no matter what happens here, whenever, but I appreciate the time and effort and the love and just the love that you have for these kids. I've said it before. I don't remember if my soccer coach could even kick right or left footed, but I remember that he was there every week. So I coached soccer. I loved it. I thought I loved to play it, but then I got to coach it and you got to see that. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate, I've said it before, I appreciate Ben and Luis working with administration, working with the school district to get to do this, to take a little deeper dive. I don't fault anyone. I believe that when this was brought before us, this was what we had asked them to do, not recognizing or not maybe understanding the full desire that a large part of our community had. So I appreciate you bringing this forward to us, and I appreciate your patience in letting us take the time to work through our process also. So I appreciate everyone that's had a part in this. I wish you all well in soccer. I wish I could come watch all of you. I don't think there's anything more fun than watching you guys play, watching anyone play soccer. I love it. I've said for years, I think Ogden needs an entire soccer complex, and I don't know if this meets that need or if this is the way to do that, but I've always said that at some point, this community loves soccer. There's and a soccer complex, like other cities have. I know I go to other cities too, and I have soccer envy for sure. So I appreciate you all being here tonight. I appreciate the comments that were made. I appreciate Jesse letting me look like a good soccer player in front of all of you. It meant a lot to me. So thank you.
Chair, I just wanted to also echo the comments about the support from the community in terms of showing up here. I think over 30 people came up here, and 30 times 3 minutes is a lot of times. And so a lot of good comments there. It's an interesting process, and I appreciate Ben and Luis securing the opportunity or working with administration to make sure we had the opportunity to have a little bit deeper dive into this. And so there is a lot to the process, and we'll continue to work through that and do what's best for Ogden. So,
can I make a quick comment? So I think I too appreciate everyone coming. I don't have great stories like Bart, but I have a love for soccer and youth sports, and I do appreciate everyone coming. I also want to say that Ogden is going to grow, whether we like it or not. And so for the past 2 years or so, we've been talking about housing. Our youth need places to live. And so I don't look at it as administration coming to us with a single plan. They came to us with a plan that they've been hearing from us for a couple of years. And so I appreciate everybody speaking up because it's given us an opportunity to look at a different plan and give us some time. And I don't fault anyone for coming with housing because, again, we've needed it. We are going to need it. We are growing, and it's inevitable. And so I don't look at it as black and white. I look at it as a possibility to have maybe both. And maybe some areas are good for one thing and some areas are good for another. And so thank you, Chair Nadolski and Vice Chair Lopez, for giving us some extra time to make sure that what we're doing in those areas is the right thing. So it goes, thank you, administration, for bringing to us a plan. And thank you for giving us some time.
Chair, first thing I'd like to do is I would like to ask for permission from you and my council colleagues if I might be able to recognize the kids that spoke tonight, not on the content of their message, but on their courage for coming here and speaking. I'm very amazed by these, and I'm very moved by it. If it is okay,
yeah,
is that okay? Of course. And then including Eloise that came last time also. So if the kids could please stand up, the kids that came and spoke tonight, please stand up.
Have them all stand.
Please stand up, and let's give them a hand. Thank you. Thank you so much. I also like to recognize really quick some of the community members here that are Latino Spanish speakers. I'm very grateful when I I'm very grateful when I get to see our Hispanic community to come and visit us. So. Soy bien chillón. Muchas gracias, Luis, por acompañarnos. Muchas gracias a todas las personas que vinieron y que hablan español. Gracias por venir. Yo también soy de México, soy de Guadalajara y me da mucho orgullo vivir aquí. Y somos paisanos y tocayos. Así es que hay que platicar más después, Luis. Gracias a ti. Es un honor. I also
Ken to translate that.
Oh, Ken. Oh, I just thank him. I just thank him for being here. I also want to thank Steve. And I'm going to, Steve, I identify with you a lot because I think you're someone who likes to fight for what you believe in, and you have a lot of courage, and you don't just accept the status quo, and I haven't had a chance to get to know you a whole lot, but I'm, as you know, in some of the conversations that we've had, I've heard people try to smear your name, and I think everybody that has tried to do that has been really wrong, because I've seen someone who has so much character and devotion and some really strong values for the community. So I want to thank you for that. Okay. And then lastly, Chair, I feel vindicated with the conversation that went on tonight. I won't speak a lot about this because it's late. We have kids here that need to go home and need to go to sleep. But I just want to say I feel vindicated because basically what we heard from all these residents today is what I was trying to say last week. I was trying to say the same thing, which is we need more open space. We need more parks. We do need the development. But at this point with this opportunity, that's what we need. And that's what I was trying to say. And so I feel vindicated because in our earlier conversation, I was trying to get censored by some of my council colleagues in the workroom. And I need you to know this. I need you to know to the people that are my council colleagues that are doing this. And if it's coming from the administration, I need the administration to know as well. I will always be respectful. I will be the most respectful person that you can ever meet. But nobody's ever going to quiet me. And nobody is ever going to make me be silenced with my words on these dais. I respond to all of them right there. All of them. So I find what happened earlier to be just sad, very, very sad. And more time for that later. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Anyone else? I just want to say that the same things that you said about Steve should be said about you. And that I hope you never are censored. And I thank you for bringing your life experience to this body and to this community. Okay. If there are no other comments, we are prepared for action.
Chair, I'd make a motion then that we adopt Resolution 2022-26.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Heyer, second by Councilmember Ritchie to adopt proposed resolution 2022-26. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Blair?
Aye.
Councilmember Chaburka?
Aye.
Councilmember Heyer?
Aye.
Councilmember Ritchie?
Aye.
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Vice Chair Lopez?
Aye.
Chair Nadolski?
Aye. That passes. Now, the real work begins. What do we do with the time that we have? What do we do with it? We can't just kick the can down the road. This didn't buy us more time to delay anything that's inevitable. We have to make real commitments to do real work, to come up with real solutions. The feedback we heard tonight was a lot of S word, right? Soccer's big in this town. It's not just soccer, it's kids, it's families, it's kitchen table issues that we've been talking about for a long time. And this need for space to play, space to grow. It's in soccer big time, and it's in softball, and it's in basketball, and it's in volleyball. It's on every family's mind. So we've got work to do. These properties need to be part of our calculus. If not these properties, which ones? If not here, where? If not now, when? That's the work before us. Thank you, everybody that's been here tonight to do this. We've got a lot of kids that are probably hungry and tired and got a lot of schoolwork to do. And we're missing a ton of kids from Untamed that are at the Ogden High versus Northridge basketball game, so I hope the Tigers are kicking the crap out of them. Sorry for the lack of decorum. Have a blessed night, you guys. We've been here for quite a while. We're all human. We all have bladders. Let's take a brief break to refresh, get a drink. We've got a long agenda item next as well. You're welcome to stay. If not, have a blessed night. We'll be back in